Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Monday, September 2nd, 2024. You've heard of jousting on horses, but what about jousting on boats? It's a unique sport that takes place in France to celebrate Bastille Day. It may look a little bit like Mars, but it's the heart of Romania. This volcanic landscape is truly a natural wonder. As a parent, we're here to help our children, but there's so much they teach us in return. It's a lesson in self-reflection. Brazil bans X or Twitter, and now many citizens are frustrated and looking for ways around the system. And Tunisia is making huge progress in cultivating red seaweed, a key ingredient in many eco-friendly products.
This is Calen Gibb, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Today we explore the thrilling world of jousting in a modern-day version that takes place on water. UNN Field Messenger Paige captures the excitement of this unique sport.
Hi, this is UNN Field Messenger Paige reporting from Marseille, France on a jousting tournament. Every year on Bastille Day, there are sporting activities that happen all over France. And this year, I'm witnessing the jousting tournament. This particular jousting tournament is on the water, as you can see. It's done with the regular jousting poles and a shield and a roping crew. The first team that goes are the women. So you've got women jousters and you've got men jousters, and the women go first. Here's a look at what they do. So as you can see, the female jouster takes her seat at the top of the bow with the shield in front of her. Once her team is put in place on the steps, she picks up the jousting bar and puts the shield in front of her. The boats move to opposite positions in the port and begin the jousting. And here we go with the first pass with the team all standing up, and they just basically say hello to each other. And here is the second pass, and not gonna lie, my heart skipped a beat on this one. They were both just fine, and they spent the rest of the time enjoying the men's tournament. And here's the first pass with the men. And here comes their first jousting, and it was just a little test. Here we go with the next pass. They look pretty serious. And here comes another pass, and they both end up in the water. And another try. And the red team wins. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.
Next, we journey into the heart of Romania, where an otherworldly volcanic landscape feels like stepping through a portal to Mars. UNN Field Messenger Monica introduces us to this natural wonder.
Hi, this is Field Messenger Monica reporting for United Network News from Romania. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to walk on Mars? Well, you can do it right in the center of Romania, Racos Volcano. The volcano is part of the Racos geological complex in Brașov County. This complex also includes the Emerald Lake and the basalt columns that are over 1.5 million years old, with a height of 100 meters and a diameter of 400 meters. The crater of the volcano is a unique place in Romania, with the volcano basket, the so-called volcanic neck, offering a film landscape. The Oldul River flows through the nearby Berșan Mountains, forming a gorge. It is in the area of these mountains, not too high but particularly wild, covered by dense uninhabited forests, that the last volcanic activity in Romania took place many thousands of years ago, although the traces are so fresh that you'd think they had erupted only a few years ago. Vegetation has managed to grow in the reddish soil. Beautiful flowers have come to life in the cinders, and fir trees have sprung up in the crater. Thank you for listening. See you next time.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our website is up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with Nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
As parents and caregivers, we are uniquely paired with our children. It's a symbiotic relationship. We have the ability to provide for what our children need in this lifetime based on their soul contracts. Our relationship with our children is usually a journey of self-reflection, so we can learn and heal from past wounds. Belinda Tung created her online resource, Perfect Child, as a support system for parents to help them deprogram from cultural and societal roles. Today, she sheds some light on this lesson of self-reflection. So Belinda is back with us again today. And Belinda, we're talking about something that a lot of people may not be aware of, even our audience, which I think is very forward-thinking. And that is this concept of picking your parents. So when we incarnated here on this planet, we actually chose who our parents were going to be. And I want to dive into the why behind that and what we can learn from that. So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, let's. Just when you said that, right, because before we were talking about our children picking us, right? Yeah. But we too picked our parents. And when I look back at my childhood journey into adulthood, yes, every experience that I had with my mother and my father led me to the place that I am today.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so now when we look at our children and they've chosen us, what I've discovered as a mother is, wow, everything that I'm seeing from my child that I wish would be different, it's literally looking at myself. Right?
Yeah.
And so we talk about this journey of parenting being a journey of self-reflection.
Yeah, it really
and I just have one kid. So how does it feel for you having 4 kids?
What does that mean? A crazy person decided to have 4 kids. This one. Yeah, what does that mean when I when I decided to have that many kids, or they chose me, or, you know, not exactly sure the timing of all of it. But yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and self-reflection. And really it's because the way that we show up in the world, oftentimes is dictated by our ego, which is there to protect us from when we were children, right? Whatever we experience, trauma, whatever, it puts this like protection layer on us, right? Yeah. And now that we have our child, the child is acting in a way where we're like maybe offended or just irritated by, right? Then you kind of look at that and you say, oh, okay, so what is that within me that was not met when I was a child?
Okay.
Let me go work on that. And then I can meet my child and not be triggered by her own expression of what she's experiencing.
Yeah. And I think this can be applied in so many different ways, because I think about just general relationships out there. Like if someone is really mad at you or has a really difficult time and is putting you down or whatever, we've learned that that's not really necessarily about you. That's something that they see. It is a reflection of something that they don't like about themselves, and they're picking it apart. Right. And we can help our children, you know, in that same sense as well, because as we know, we're always growing and learning and from each other, and we chose to be here. Now we're learning about our children choosing us. So can I ask, and hopefully this isn't too personal, but what are some of the things that you've learned as a parent, like, you know, in the relationship you have with your child? What are some of those things that you've picked up on?
Oh my gosh.
How much time do you have?
So much, exactly. You know, my child, she's also a sponge. I've noticed, like from the time that she's born, everything that she's shown to me is literally me. Her mannerisms, everything. And when she would have temper outbursts, it was me. Right. And just the way that she would talk to people, that was me. Yeah. So it's like when I hear the words that are coming out of her mouth, I can hear that that's me. And that's how I have spoken to her. And so it's just so much work that I've had to do. And the way that like I speak to my husband, right?
Yeah.
I can pick up on that as well. And so it's like all of these things, I'm constantly working on myself, because my husband is just so kind, right? And I'm from this family where like I've had to really push back, and now I'm trying to rein myself in so that my child actually is kind and loving as well. She herself is kind and loving, right? She's a light being, and I have to keep reminding myself not to put my own fears onto her or my own perceptions onto her.
Yeah, that relationship one, that's a big one, especially in my family too. I can totally relate to that. You know, I think about what I say when I'm upset with my husband or whatever, and I'm just like, and it's funny because in my head, I'm like, are any of the kids around? Like, it's okay if they're not. Like, I could speak however I wanted to if the kids aren't around. But my mind goes through that filtering process, because I know that they're going to, on some level, they may not even be aware of it, but I've seen it happen where they've said something exactly like something my husband would say or something that I would say. And I'm like, oh, that was not the best version of myself that day. I know exactly where she got that or where he got that. And it's so true. It's a huge lesson for us as parents.
It is. And I also wanted to mention that oftentimes when we come into that space, right, where we're talking too much or we've said something that didn't feel right, there's always a repair. We can either go back because our kids are old enough to understand, or if they're young and you wouldn't say those words to them, you could go back in your mind and sort of create like a film clip and see the the action, your reaction, cut that reaction out and replace it with the more loving thing that you would have done. And that also heals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we are not limited by time. Time is an illusion. Right. So it's not like something happened and you can't fix it. You absolutely can. And I've had situations too where I've gone back and realized that my behavior was not what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And the next day gone back to my child and just said, this is why mommy did what I did. I don't think that was the best choice. I think I probably should have done X, Y, Z. And it's okay. And mommy made a mistake. You know, can I ask for your, for your forgiveness? Are you okay? You know, do we need to talk about this some more? You know, and that makes me feel better. And it appears to make them feel better too. I think a lot of times as parents, we forget to explain the why behind it, because this is a learning opportunity for them as well. And if they understand why that happened and, we can make it better, then that will help them in their own life as well.
Yeah. And then they understand that we're human. We can make mistakes, and we can also come back and recognize it.
A teacher from Holland has created happiness workshops for schools to help children develop a more positive outlook on life. These 3-hour sessions are interactive and dynamic, exploring various aspects of happiness. Young participants are encouraged to reflect on what happiness means to them. In one activity, students share kind words about a classmate, emphasizing the value of kindness. Children learn the importance of self-love and confidence as foundations for happiness. Gratitude for what they have and empathy for others are also key. They discover how different viewpoints can affect their lives and that they have the power to change their choices. Meditation is included to promote calmness, emphasizing the importance of proper breathing techniques for relaxation. The workshops can help children understand the fulfillment that comes from kind acts and equip them with tools for a lifetime of greater happiness. In America, a nonprofit project called WOW aims to build self-awareness, confidence, and resilience in Black and Hispanic teenage girls. WOW counselors collaborate with school health teams to identify stressed female students who could benefit from mental health support. Many of these girls have experienced or witnessed violence, with nearly half losing someone close to sudden or violent death. During the weekly WOW group session, teenage girls set aside pressures, they laugh, they listen, and work through personal issues together. This project reduced PTSD symptoms of many public school participants and lowered anxiety and depression. The WOW project continues to offer vital mental support to Black and Hispanic girls and to other adolescent female students who need support. In Indonesia, a trial program is providing free school lunches for students in low-income areas. The meals are diverse and nutritious, consisting of rice, chicken, or fish, vegetables, fruit, and milk. Children who often skipped meals now enjoy lunch at school with friends, leading to improved appetites, health, and motivation to study. Attendance rates have increased dramatically, with many students eager to arrive early for school. The initiative has received praise from parents and educators for its positive impact on family budgets and health. The project is due to be rolled out countrywide by 2029 to nearly 84 million students. Indonesia remains optimistic about improving children's well-being, educational opportunities, and the financial condition of low-income families. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. The suspension of the social media platform X in Brazil is affecting numerous users who relied on the platform for communication, political engagement, and entertainment. Many Brazilians express frustration on other social networks, noting the significant role X plays in political discussions and meme creation. Users are reportedly searching for VPNs to bypass these restrictions, with some voicing concerns about government overreach and potential impacts on free speech. The Brazilian Bar Association is considering legal action to address the imposed fines on those attempting to access X through VPNs. People are concerned the ongoing situation may undermine their connection to global events and news, highlighting the platform's importance in their daily lives. Critics argue this move reflects authoritarian tendencies and undermines free speech. Also in Brazil, police in Rio de Janeiro have targeted claw machine operations following concerns about their legality as gambling devices. Authorities launched a series of raids, confiscating machines that trick players into believing they can skillfully win plush toys, while in reality, these games operate a lot like slot machines. Many players, including children, often waste their money on these machines, which have been criticized for the deceptive programming and weekend claws. The illegal machines prevalent in malls and arcades are linked to organized crime groups that already manage other gambling operations. In a community effort, thousands of seized stuffed animals were donated to children affected by recent floods. Grassroots efforts in the Czech Republic have led to significant changes in debt management, reducing the nation's borrowing issues. After a series of reforms, the country transformed from having high personal debt to becoming one of the least indebted in Europe, with the lowest unemployment and poverty levels in the European Union. Research data on repossession claims helped lawmakers restrict debt collectors. The Summer of Mercy initiative allowed residents to pay off state debt with interest and fee forgiveness, successfully collecting funds for public services. Despite improvements, some economists warn national statistics might not fully reflect financial realities, as severe poverty remains in certain areas. Greater efforts in financial literacy are essential to support vulnerable communities and mitigate the negative effects of debt. Landlords in the U.S. are facing a debt crisis, with about $1.5 trillion in commercial real estate debt maturing by next year. Higher interest rates have lowered property values, making it harder for owners to secure new loans. This is especially concerning for apartment complexes, which make up 40% of the upcoming debt. Many owners who benefited from low floating rate loans are now struggling as higher borrowing costs diminish their rental income. As a result, an estimated $95 billion worth of U.S. properties are distressed or at risk. This affects millions of renters, as owners might sell or cut back on maintenance. Experts suggest new capital is essential to stabilize the market and support the multifamily asset class, but broader economic factors continue to pose challenges. China's economic slowdown has significantly impacted office occupancy in major cities, with vacancy rates reaching alarming levels. With at least a fifth of high-end office space currently vacant, many companies are responding by downsizing or relocating to more affordable buildings. This trend is leading to a reduction in rental prices, with costs down by at least 10% compared to 2 years ago. The rise of flexible working has further complicated occupancy, as fewer employees are returning to offices. Analysts attribute this trend to weakened economic growth expectations, prompting businesses to adopt more cautious leasing strategies. Many tenants are seeking to renegotiate rents to align with their decreased space requirements. As demand weakens, landlords and property managers are struggling to maintain tenant occupancy. In Japan, the government is supporting shorter work weeks amid a declining birth rate and shrinking workforce. Many employees are choosing flexible schedules, including 4-day work weeks, allowing them to spend more time with family, attend personal appointments, or recover from illness. This change benefits those caring for children or elderly relatives, helping them stay in the workforce longer. However, critics say these schedules can still mean long hours and lower pay. Despite concerns, a recent survey shows low employee engagement and enthusiasm, indicating the need for more changes. As organizations adapt, offering flexible work options is seen as essential for attracting and retaining talent, especially in female-dominated sectors. Nigeria's leaky pipelines have raised alarms about the country's oil production and revenue. The decades-old pipelines, essential for transporting crude oil, are now corroded and vulnerable to leaks and vandalism. In the first 5 months of this year alone, more than 3 million barrels of oil have been lost due to these issues, resulting in significant financial loss. The National Oil Corporation has cited the lack of funds for necessary repairs, which experts warn aggravates the problems of oil theft and environmental damage. Corruption and inadequate oversight are also major contributors to the maintenance shortfall. Recent legislative efforts aimed at improving the sector have yet to yield substantial results. Also, the removal of the petroleum subsidy has led to fuel price increases, further straining the economy. A company in Tunisia is cultivating red seaweed to produce eco-friendly products, including food ingredients and biodegradable packaging. This innovative approach allows for the natural collection of seaweed from the ocean, which is then nurtured in controlled conditions to enhance growth. After about 2 months, the yield has significantly increased, providing valuable resources for various applications, particularly in food production as alternatives to animal-based gelling agents. However, the operation faces significant challenges due to rising sea temperatures, drastically reducing the natural seaweed availability in the region. The local seaweed supply has decreased from 2,000 tons to barely 10 tons, posing concerns for local ecosystems and livelihoods. But despite these obstacles, the commitment to sustainable innovation continues, aiming to balance production needs with environmental preservation. Access to affordable dental care in Australia is becoming increasingly challenging, particularly for low-income and marginalized communities. Research shows a significant portion of the population avoids regular dental visits due to financial constraints. This is leading to a rise in emergency treatments that could have been prevented with routine care. The lengthy waiting times for public dental services, particularly in rural and regional areas, worsen existing dental problems, pushing individuals toward emergency care. Also, those from disadvantaged backgrounds, including migrants and refugees, face more challenges in accessing adequate dental services due to language, cultural differences, and prior experiences with healthcare systems. Increasing dental care costs are prompting calls for reforms to improve accessibility and affordability. Also in Australia, a recent education forum has highlighted the ongoing struggles faced by First Nations students amid declining academic performances. Many participants believe the current schooling system is failing Indigenous children, arguing for a shift toward an education model designed and led by First Nation communities. New recommendations emphasize the importance of incorporating Indigenous languages and building a dedicated Indigenous education workforce. Recent data shows educational disadvantages persist, with Indigenous students lagging behind their non-Indigenous peers in core subjects such as literacy and numeracy. Advocates stress listening to grassroots solutions is important for empowering young Indigenous learners and promoting connections to their culture and community.
Football season is now. Don't miss the action. Get all of your games in one place. At United TV, don't pay an arm and a leg to keep up with the action. For as little as $15.99 per month, you will get it all. With multi-screen viewing, make this season your winning season. Go to unitedtv.org and sign up today.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. The annual meetings started last night for the Order of the Dragon and the Order of the Black Sun, also known as the Illuminati. Lots of talk about big payouts that never happened has left them all very angry. The Order has lost in the current wars. This is a huge win for humanity as the old balance systems continue to dissolve. False rumors are being spread about blackouts and emergencies. Find out the truth behind these claims. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hi, Kim. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday and happy Labor Day if you're in the U.S.
That's right.
One of those holidays that we celebrate alleged slaves. Alleged slaves getting better pay. Woo! I know we're all feeling that, and we're thankful.
I know. Yeah, you gotta wonder. Let's celebrate working 40-hour work weeks. It's awesome. I love it.
I don't even know what it's like to work 40 hours.
I know, right? Guess it depends on what your job is.
But anyway, we hope you're enjoying your day, regardless if you have the day off from work. Okay. I know that there are some people out there that are not enjoying their day today. So let's talk about those people.
Okay.
So the annual meeting of the Order, orders plural, and the Illuminati as you call them, or the Order of the Dragon, Order of the Black Sun, would normally begin today, or last night actually. Mm-hmm. It begins on the new moon, and then it would end on the harvest moon, in which they would receive orders from those that are no longer with us, and a lot of money to go along with those orders to execute on said orders.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're just decided that they're going to make them up, and they've been making them up now for several days, but they went public with this about 24 hours ago as to what their intentions are. So let's talk about that so we can dispel some of these rumors that are going around. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of stories happening right now. Okay, number one, they're basically saying that Nasara Jasara will start, and they are implementing it with their new quantum financial system. That is a false, number one. Number two, they do not have a quantum financial system. And number three, the one they're claiming that is theirs is actually ours. Mm-hmm. They have zero intention of implementing any kind of Nasara and Jasara, and that includes the U.S. military and other militaries that they're claiming that are involved with this quote-unquote global alliance.
So clarification, Kim, are they literally saying that the system that we're supporting is theirs and that is Nasara Jasara?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So when we hear stuff on alternative media saying that Nasara Jasara is starting, that is care. That is what we've been working toward. But they're trying to rebrand it, basically.
Well, ours lives in reality.
Right.
Based on the current economic state of affairs. Theirs does not. If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is true. And in this case, their version of Nasara Jasara means they're going to give you a universal income, which they can then determine if you qualify to receive any money in your bank account based on your social crediting score. So they would allow you to exist. Oh, yes. And providing you with a limited income per month. And then if you go outside the lines, color outside the lines, which most of you watching this do color outside the lines, then they would then take away your income, and you would be left homeless until you comply with their requests. That's what the base root of their Nasara Jasara actually is.
But they obviously can't do that.
No.
So are they just saying this stuff in hopes of eventually getting control of the light system? I'm confused as to why they're saying this, and they're like, oh, this is ours, when it's not theirs. And they're not even saying they're going to do the same stuff we're doing.
Well, no, they're not. They have a set agenda. And, it is a new moon today, which is when their meetings normally start, the night before. And therefore, they believe that the skies are going to open and they're going to be the recipients of all of these new control systems, which is not the case. There are no standing orders for that stuff anymore, past, present, and future. They may have gotten some information from some old book somewhere or some looking glass somewhere or something like that. That would have indicated, that would be the case this year, but of course it's not. So this is steamrolled into a number of different events that are taking place currently at this moment. Not all of them positive, but let's talk about this. So that is what they're promising the people. They're also promising the people that they will be able to, there's going to be a reset of currencies and that they're going to all get paid. They have zero capacity to perform these functions, but I'm going to throw out these numbers, just a few of them here, to tell you about some of the programs and deals that they're making with various groups and how this could positively or negatively affect humanity. First of all, the Royal Bank of Zimbabwe, also known as the Central Bank of Zimbabwe, is due to receive $835 trillion within the next 72 hours. I know, isn't that amazing?
Wow, good for them.
Good for them. They're going to be very disappointed when nothing happens, but these promises were made based on the fact that Zimbabwe does have some in-ground reserves of gold and diamonds and other precious minerals and rare earth minerals. And of course, they would like to have them sign over all those minerals to the deep state, which they did. The tribes of Zimbabwe did so, as well as the government, all consented to sign over all their assets to the deep state. Unfortunately for you tribes of Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe government, you already did that several hundred years ago, and therefore it is already leaned and it is already in the system. It has been reallocated under the global repository for usage locally there only, and you do not have the right to reassign it over to the deep state. So when they tried to leverage that, that obviously went out the window. So it rejected it, saying it had already been leveraged in the financial system.
Now, did Zimbabwe get a copy of that? Do they know that it's been rejected?
No, they would never tell those people that. There is no word really to describe the deep state at this moment other than severely programmed and mentally deficient.
Yeah.
And then this just goes to show you, and I'm pointing this, I have a number of other central banks to cover here and the reason for these specific central banks, but it goes to show you that these people have never run a financial system in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Because these numbers would burn the financial system to the ground. So even if they had gotten control of said financial system, they would have burned it within 48 hours of them getting it, which is why they don't have it. Okay, next, the People's Bank of China, also known as the Central Bank of China, would now become the central bank of all of Asia. They signed that deal with China recently. Isn't that amazing?
Incredible.
They are now, yeah.
I'm so impressed.
And their initial deposit is going to be $5,144,760,000,000,000. I'm using these exact numbers for a reason.
Wow.
dollars to kickstart their new venture as the central bank of all of Asia. Wow. Okay, and we have several central banks of Europe that are going to be participating in the control of the entire western half of Europe. And we have the Bundesbank, which is the central bank of Germany, for their participation in the central bank of all of Europe. They would receive $2 trillion, $14 billion, $10 million.
I wonder how they came up with these numbers.
The Central Bank of France would receive $1,244,730,000. It's all in dollars. Isn't that weird? But it is. Bank of Italy would receive $1,135,605,000. I know, where does this number come from? $605,542,549.
$549.
I know, isn't that amazing? I don't know where they got this from either. There's no math for this, so don't try to put regular math to any of this at all. The Swiss National Bank, Rothschild's favorite, $886,574,000,000. Bank of Spain, $861,564,000,000. Now we're going to go to the Central Bank of Latin America. This privilege has been bestowed upon Brazil, apparently. They are going to be the central bank, according to the deep state, of all of Latin America. Wow. This is like some game show. $856,248,000,000. Bank of England is going to go back into the euro and become one of the central banks of all of Europe for the small sum of $758,014,000,000. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this without laughing. Okay. The Reserve Bank of India shall become another central bank of Asia. Remember, they are going to try to launch fake BRICS currency here. So for their participation in this central bank of all of Asia, they would also receive a large sum. Now, the rest of them, I don't have quite all of the information on yet. But Saudi Arabia is going to control all of the Middle East in a contract. I don't have an amount for that. I didn't quite get that. Bank of Korea is also going to participate in the Central Bank of Asia. So I'm guessing that they're going to take assets that are being dispersed to other countries, possibly BRICS or something, and then trickle them into these other central banks. Bank of Mexico is supposed to get money, probably from Brazil. I know National Bank of Belgium is getting money from one of these European central banks, Central Bank of Luxembourg. They're trying to formulate these different areas. Remember, their goal was to have 7 Bank for International Settlements for the world. And eventually, once they consolidated on all these central banks under various umbrellas, then they were going to issue a singular currency for the entire region. Lofty goals, isn't it? Considering they can't issue a currency, even cryptocurrency at this point in time. So
who's they in this? Is this the Trump people? Who's making these promises?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Actually, it's not just the Trump people. It's all of the operatives that are still working with the secret space program. In addition to that, we also had the ACIO at Red Mountain in Alabama, along with some other deep state operatives that were there, God rest all their souls, helping to dial for dollars like a telethon. Making deals with the Central Bank of Thailand, Central Bank of Indonesia, Central Bank of Argentina, the Czech National Bank, Central Bank of Lebanon, Central Bank of Turkey, Reserve Bank of Australia, National Bank of Poland, Bank of Israel, Bank of Greece, Central Bank of Ireland, Central Bank of Malaysia, Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates, Bank of Canada, Central Bank of Iraq, Central Bank of the Philippines, Central Bank of Nigeria, Central Bank of Peru, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Basically, if you have a name of a country, there's a few more here. Slovakia, the Central Bank of Colombia has joined, of course, South Africa, Reserve Bank, Central Bank of Egypt, and all that stuff that's going on in Egypt over there that we've been talking about. Yeah, big payouts that aren't coming. Central Bank of Chile, Central Bank of the Republic of Uzbekistan, and Central Bank of Hungary, and those are the ones that we've heard about thus far. So yes, you do have the participation of the Order of the Dragon, you have the participation of what's left of the black nobility, and you have the participation of all of the operatives in those respective countries. And the headquarters for that was at Red Mountain in Alabama. So that's no longer an issue. Nobody's dialing anything except maybe from another dimension somewhere at this moment in time from that particular location. But those that weren't in that location are definitely going loud and proud today because they're expecting big changes in their favor just to fall in their lap. Big access promised, big things. Everybody's fighting with everybody today. It's awful out there. So and what I mean by that is the energy is terrible on their side. They're talking about things like playing fake alien cards, militaries, they are involved. They're all yelling at each other because what they told the public is that this would all happen within 72 hours. Now, by public, I mean central bank operators, heads of state, those kind of things. So we still have about 2 more days before this giant multi-trillion, quadrillion bill is due. So.
Does this coincide with some sort of an alignment or something? What's going to happen in 2 days, do they think, or we're not sure?
No, they just figured they'd give themselves 3 days after the new moon being today officially, exact time, sometime after 9 p.m. Eastern today. So they figure 3 days within 72 hours of the new moon, all these illustrious gifts are going to be bestowed upon them so they can be kings of the world or Dr. Evil or whatever it is they want to be. So, that would be a big no from us in every way, shape, or form. But they did make another huge, what I consider to be a huge mistake in the last 3 days. So if you watch alternative media, in some circles, there is talk about the Hells Angels going to Colorado to fight Venezuelan gangs that are causing an upheaval in a city called Aurora. And but this gives me a good opportunity for me to explain to you who this group is. So it's worthy to tell the story because the operatives that set it up were intending to use them to create a civil war. Now that's both sides. They of course brought the Venezuelan gangs here in cooperation with the Silent Circle, and then they made an attempt to have the Venezuelan gangs attack some things in the territory of what you would consider the Hells Angels. So now they're saying the Hells Angels and a second other large but equally powerful biker group in the U.S. Now they're saying that they're going to go enact their revenge. Now, this is where those particular operatives have a screw loose. A few sandwiches short of a picnic, whatever you want to call it, but that is where they have lost their mind, and I'll tell you why. I know they think they're gods, and I know they think they walk on water and that they know everything, but there are things about these groups you don't understand. If they did understand it, then they obviously think they're more superior or have control of them in some way, shape, or form, because knowing what I know about this group, that was a losing battle from the beginning. Okay, so let's talk about the Hells Angels. So Hells Angels, we think, are a biker group. This is what the public's perception. We do see them oftentimes performing charity work. We see them as a rough and tough biker gang that you don't want to mess with if you have them in your area where you live. And that's what we kind of know as the public about this group. We never hear much about them in the news. We never hear much about them in places, where there's looting or crimes that we know of, that kind of thing. And that's what we know. But here's what you don't know. The Hells Angels group is part of a larger organization of which they are pretty much the head of that expands worldwide. The Hells Angels groups aren't just a bunch of guys that ride bikes. They are an independent organization that pretty much runs every black market trade route in the entire world.
Oh my gosh.
They have their own sources of intelligence information in every intelligence agency in the world. They also have people within Customs and Borders, every single port, every port authority in the world. There is no country on this earth they can't get anything in or out of.
Wow.
Yep. Now, they are well known for getting it done. And what I mean by that is they deliver. If they are willing to take a contract, and it is not because they have an allegiance to any group anywhere, if they are willing to take a contract to deliver your goods, to extradite people from countries and move them to other countries that need to be moved, it doesn't matter who it is or what it is. If they take the contract and agree, they will deliver at all costs.
But they are independent from these other groups.
Yep.
Okay.
They do business with all the other groups. By groups, I mean CIA, SSP, some of the mafia organizations in the world. Anyone and anybody that needs things moved through their special, and I mean special, trade routes, these are your guys. For example, if somebody happens to be kidnapped somewhere, it can be as small as that. Someone happens to be kidnapped by a group somewhere and you need to get them out of the country, that's who you call, because you'll get out for sure.
Are they involved in trafficking?
More goods and services, but in certain circumstances, when, say, one of the groups happens to be stuck someplace and can't get out or that kind of thing, these guys will get you out. Okay. They do a lot of child advocating, actually, Sunny, to the contrary, in this country. I think it's called Bikers Against Child something or other, BACA, I think it's called. And they will actually go to make the child feel safe if they're speaking out against an aggressor, meaning whether that's a parent or a guardian or a bullying situation. If they have to go to court, as an example, they'll bring in a whole gang of bikers and sit there with that child so they feel safe to speak up.
That's interesting. And that's not just a front. That's legit.
They actually do it. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow.
But we'll tell you something about this group. God help you if you make some kind of a deal with them or you go after them, because you will have a worldwide network of bikers after you that you would not believe.
Wow. And that's what they do.
They take care of their own. You go after them, their wives, their kids, their families, their trade routes, their, whatever it is within their own group, God help you.
It kind of reminds me of like a Silent Circle and how they had their group.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of similar, These guys, however, do not, they're not really part of anything, but they're kind of a part of everything all at the same time. But that is what appears the operatives tried to do to them over the weekend by setting them up into, their civil war is out of their realm. They're not they're not in for that. They're the transport people.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's who the group actually is. But I don't know what kind of business they were trying to pull, because it must have been some low-level CIA agent or some kind of idiot that would actually think that you were going to pull them into starting civil war in the country.
Oh, so that was the gig, was start a civil war, try to get the Hells Angels involved to start a civil war. But that's not what they do. Like you said, they're into trade and moving things from place to place.
Yep.
So was there a deal made? Was there something?
No.
Negotiate? No. Okay.
No, we checked. No. And they also checked because they've been putting their feelers out to figure out what the heck's going on here. Why would, because don't get me wrong. I mean, Venezuela has their own groups. They all of Latin Americans, let's just say goods movers. Let's call them the goods, because, they're not all legal here in the United States. So just call it goods moving services that would require goods moving services in and out of countries around the world, in Latin America, all run by the Colombians. So how would they get the Colombians to be so dumb to try to go against another group that they have affiliations with to send Venezuelans to Colorado? Trillions of dollars to their central bank down there in Colombia, promises that they're never going to deliver on. I did hear at one point that they promised the Colombian central bank, which is run by the Colombian mafia, by the way, as most all things are there. I would say that they promised them trillions of dollars, or they owe them trillions of dollars. And don't intend to pay, or intend to make good on it through some fictitious fantasy quantum financial system they don't have. I'm guessing that's how they did it, because none of this makes sense to me when I know how the world really works. I'm not saying I agree with a lot of the things that these people do, but I would say to you that you know where you can step and where never to step. If you are, I don't really have any fear. I have less, let's just say, opposition from operatives doing ridiculous things than I would be concerned about a group like this. We've crossed paths a few times, not in a negative way. I have, let's just say, appreciated some of the things that they've done when I don't know how I was going to get out of here or there or anywhere. Therefore, pretty much, they're none of my business. I leave them alone. I know better. But as far as talks we've had in the past, it would be about having an effort or cooperative effort to move things into places we couldn't get them into. For example, right now, there's no food in Gaza. This would be an example. So we would use them to get food into Gaza. And I don't mean use them. I mean, their transport services are invaluable when it comes to hostile areas. In the future, when there isn't a hostility, we are still going to have local homegrown people that are still hostile. Yeah. We'll have Boko Harams and all kinds of different groups that have formed over the years that are going to be hostile for a while. But if we need to get foods, natural medicines, things delivered, these guys are your guys. They'll get anything and anywhere. There's no concern about it not getting there.
So do you
construction equipment.
You think they could be an ally at some point?
I do. I do. There may or may not have been, how do I say this in the quietest of ways? There may or may not have been some feelers put out as to whether or not they would even be interested in moving currencies around for us. That kind of thing. But when they started to kind of waver against the operatives or not wanting to do things that the operatives wanted them to do, then all of a sudden they decided to set them up. Wrong move. But good move for us, because these people go bump in the night. You're never going to see it in the news. You're never going to hear about it anywhere. It's going to be cleaned up, quiet, tidy, no civil war, no newsworthy event, no nothing. That's not how these people operate, and it's not how they work. So do they have, like I said, they are for their own before they're for anybody else that's not their own. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see what happens with that, but this could get really interesting really fast. But I wouldn't expect some kind of big deal if you do happen to live in Aurora or the surrounding area coming from any Hells Angels of any sort. In any way, if there is somebody that went against them over there, then, there are probably further reaching consequences for that action than I'm thinking that the people that sent the Venezuelan gangs, could ever possibly imagine. And I'm sure they know it down there. They probably lied to them and told them that they made a deal, which they didn't do, and that kind of thing. So, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But we learn a lot of new information every day here on News.
That we do.
Yeah. I mean, they're not a bad group of guys. I mean, and ladies, they honestly, they're pretty much down to home kind of people. Not to say I would want to be in a bar fight or, be on the wrong side in a dark alley with them. But, I mean, as far as, most of them are patriots. Like I said, they do. I can't believe you've never heard of Baca. You should look them up. It's pretty interesting. They do. They support those kids so that they can feel that they can stand up for themselves and stuff. It's nice.
Well, I do feel like there is hope for any group that actually supports kids and goes out of their way to help. Well,
they have kids too,
Well, so does the deep state.
They'll walk them to school and bullying, that kind of thing. And then, to kind of make them feel like they're protected and strong. And,
I love
things
that.
As parents,
Yeah, that's a great program. I didn't know about that. That's amazing.
So that's where, you'll probably find them around in the country. So, everybody's got, if you've been made any kind of big money or become a big worldwide group in this world, you've got a past and you got a history. So let's see where they go from here. It's all, you never know. So let's see. Okay, let's talk about progress with or against the Alpha Omega AI versus the Golden Age AI system.
Okay.
As Alpha Omega struggles to survive, and it's at this point it's wriggling in a major way. There is a little bit of a current war going on. And by current, I don't necessarily just mean money, currency. I mean, it's struggling to try to push back in dark matter, dark energy, dark essence, not only in our world, but throughout the multiverse so that it can survive. It is failing to do so. And again, we can thank those that have departed, for that. In part, and in part, we can thank the departed 7 hidden remaining. I use the term archivist lightly now because some new information came to light over the weekend that I figured I would share with you to tell you what these 7, well, technically 8 remaining people were up to. So Saturday morning, there was a lot of alerts going off based on these people. And there was one female in particular, probably somewhere between mid-40s to mid-50s, who is an American of Latino descent who was living in, or at least staying currently in Argentina. who decided to be so bold as to actually reach out to me and basically telling me that she has all the same capabilities that have been granted to her by Michael.
So whatever Michael had, she now has? Is that what she was trying to say?
That is what she's saying.
Okay.
And in part, she didn't lie. And that she has every intention of destroying me. I'm like, oh, okay. And in this world, if I don't comply with what she wants, and she clearly felt very superior to me, but I'm not one to toot my horn on anything, anyway. I know that I'm only, hands and feet to run for a much higher power, on this planet, which apparently she cares nothing about. So she basically was calling to tell me she's taking over now, and then I can just sit down and do nothing. And yeah. Well, and this is how sick these people are. So there was a partial consciousness transfer that came from Archangel Michael, because it's one being, Raphael and Gabriel, to a few selected people. That consciousness transfer took place probably about a week or so before their departure, and it's been growing ever since. And so they did have some limited capacity as it relates to the realms, meaning the third density, first density, and second density. Mm-hmm. However, this lady did something really interesting. The lady had a daughter. Best I can tell, she was somewhere between 14 and 16 years old. She, as the parent of this girl, allowed for them to begin a consciousness transfer of anti-source into this human.
And she somehow got that from whatever
Michael.
Came over through Michael.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And by the time she turns 40, because that would have been how long she would have lived. Sorry. Not an innocent still at this point. Then that consciousness would have grown, and she would have played the role of the Antichrist. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's not funny. I don't even know how to respond to some of this stuff. It's so insane.
It's so insane, but this is how the world really works. I know. Trust me, I know. So after the conversation with me, which I really didn't say a whole lot to this lady, perhaps it was the look on my face that alluded to the fact that I thought she was nuts, because, I don't have a poker face, and I know I'm not on camera today, but I really don't. I mean, when I don't like something, there's that I have just sucked on a lemon look on my face, I can't not have it. It's like, the lies. If I don't believe what you're saying, you will know when you see my face, because, yeah.
Okay, so this was some sort of video call.
Yeah. There was 4 parties on her side, one man who was sitting in the dark, so I could only see a shadow, and the fact that it was a man. It was like I could see the shadow. The other 2 I couldn't see. They were not on camera. Okay. With no name.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, so she basically put you on notice that you could step down now, and she was going to take over.
Yeah. And we fight each other in different ways, meaning, it's entirely possible when you feel threatened to protect yourself, and you can throw energy anywhere at any time against somebody who you feel is attacking you. So she might have felt a little uncomfortable during that call, which kind of scared her, because then she and her daughter, who were in Argentina, ended up going to an underground base in Antarctica to try to see if she could actually get let's call it some kind of a power of attorney. It's not a power of attorney, but that's the best way I can explain it in layman's terms, over her daughter's abilities or future abilities. Because she realized, I think, that if she was going to actually battle and her daughter would live long enough to the age of 40 to recommit this earth to the anti-source or whatever, that she needed some more juice than Michael gave her.
And was she collaborating with other individuals that got some essence or whatever from these other archangels?
You know, I suspect there was something more to the story, because the one thing that I saw, so you always have to observe a little bit before you torch an entire facility. The enforcer actually did it. But, and so there were 9 letters that this little girl was given that was only supposed to, 1 per year, she was supposed to open in the 9 years before she turned 40. So she would have started at the age of 41. And she was supposed to open one of these letters, and they're not written in a human language that we would understand. And at the same, she brought those letters to CyberLife to try to decipher those letters to see what they said.
So she did open them, and she wasn't supposed to.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. So if the girl had lived that long, and if that consciousness transfer worked, which, you know, I highly doubt it would have worked for long, but if it actually did, then I think the language that it was written in is one I'm familiar with, and she would have been able to read them.
Mm-hmm. It's some sort of light language, or would have been in light language.
Anti-light language, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the first language. It's almost like a frequency. It's written in essence, and, you know, unless there's no CyberLife equipment that's going to read those things. And I know they tried. God bless them. God rest their soul. But, yeah, this lady was losing it. She lost her noodle. But, again, she and her daughter did depart as part of that facility takeout over the weekend.
Does that mean the essence is gone, returns to source, or what happens to that?
Of those letters?
Of whatever was inside those people. Like,
yeah. Yes.
Returns to source.
Yes.
Okay.
And the cords are cut, and there's no implant of any sort, and you know, whatever source does with them is totally up to source.
Right.
At that point. But it just goes to show you the crazy things that exist in this world.
Well, it also makes you wonder what's going on with, you know, if Raphael did that, like what's going on with that side? Like, are you going to have 2 more instances of something like this because they passed something down to some other human?
Well, we searched far and wide. We found 7 in total, other than the 2 of them. So God, I hope not. But we'll see. You know, we'll see if there's anything else that comes up. But they're gone. She's gone. No hope. Have a nice day, SSP people. Continuing on. Was this lady barking orders behind the scenes? Was she able to? She the one that all this weirdo information was coming from? I have no idea. I don't know. But I do know she was promised a very high up position in control of the entire orders, plural. Yeah, she told me that. She told me that she is taking over on the new moon, which was just 2 days from when we spoke. We spoke Saturday morning early. Yeah. So, you know, okay. Anyway, so there's that. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about some other rumors that are floating around that I need to let you know why they're doing it and what it means for you. So this is a little video that's been circulating around Twitter and amongst the Q crew. So let's let it rip.
This critical message is being delivered by the emergency alert system. This is not a test. We interrupt regular scheduled programming to notify you of an imminent threat to national security and public safety.
U.S. government has issued a national emergency for the continental United States, effective until 11:59 p.m. The following message is transmitted at the request of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. There have been multiple sightings of more than a dozen unidentified objects of unknown motive and origin that have landed across major population areas around the world. These unidentified suspended objects are around 1,400 feet long, stone-like material of unknown nature, like that of a black oval stone, flattened in shape, resembling an enormous obsidian concave lens. These objects are suspected to be extraterrestrial and might endanger civilian populations. The United States Armed Forces have been deployed to the incident sites in order to investigate the unidentified objects. Given the uncertainty concerning these objects, all non-essential services have been instructed to cease, all planned flights have already been canceled, and all ongoing flights have been redirected to the closest airport in proximity to their location. At this moment, all civilians outside of danger zones are urged to seek shelter, pack enough food, water, clothes, medical supplies, a flashlight, important documents, a first aid kit, toiletries, and a battery-powered or hand crank radio to endure the course of the emergency. Residents in the designated danger zones must evacuate to neighboring states. All citizens crossing state borders will be subjected to compulsory health inspection. Refusal of health inspection will result in refusal of entry. If you witness any strange vehicles or objects, you must leave the place immediately and contact the National Emergency Self-Report Hotline, 710-726-7834, 710-999-8274.
This critical message is being transmitted at the request of the White House. A presidential alert has been issued. The following message is a written statement from the President of the United States.
The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, and other national space agencies have determined that these objects are hostile and originally belonged to a distant extraterrestrial civilization. Attacks from these unidentified objects have been reported from across Europe and Asia. NORAD reports that more unidentified objects continue to descend into the Earth's atmosphere. According to accounts, these objects are containing unknown entities that have dismounted from the object and are wandering across the landscape. These entities are regarded to be technologically advanced. The United States and the rest of the globe are under attack. These entities are reported to be using unidentified directed energy weapon beams. This beam produces extremely dangerous radiation in the form of a beam, powerful enough to completely vaporize anyone in its path. All known diplomatic efforts with the entities have been futile. The entity is said to possess extraordinary speed, endurance, violent behavior, and resistance to conventional weapons. All law enforcement, civil service, and military personnel must report to the closest military facility and take any and all counter-offensive.
I have no idea what I just watched. I think that was
You and I are in the
World
danger
Part
zone,
2.
Sonny.
What was that?
We're both in the danger zone.
Now I'm flashing. Oh my goodness.
I know.
I don't fully understand what I saw. It kind of feels, obviously, to create fear and whatever. So this is on Twitter and
yeah,
where?
In circulated Telegram. It's all over the place. Now, for those of you that don't know, and this is a part of the information here, the 710 area code here in the United States is, in 1983, is when they created this area code, and it's specifically to be only used by emergency services in the United States, by the United States government.
Mm.
Now, we did call the number, and it just beeps like you're leaving a message on an old-fashioned answering machine of some sort. But the interesting thing is, how did these people get a U.S. government emergency services phone number?
Well, they would have to be connected somehow. They would have to have access to that.
Yes, they would have to be. So you mean to tell me that there are people, now, first of all, there is no official announcement, meaning, FEMA knows nothing about it. You call FEMA, they don't know anything. You call NORAD, they don't know anything. You call, we've got contacts within the U.S. government, they don't know anything. Like if you call, just regular person calling, they don't know anything. White House doesn't know anything. Even from inside people in the White House, they don't know anything. And of course, our president's not writing anything now, is he?
Yeah.
But this is, first of all, I just want to dispel these rumors. Number one, no giant concave obsidian made of material or otherwise 1,400 foot wide concave discs are hovering over areas in the world. No beings have crawled out of said discs and are going anywhere. I think they wish. We all know that Q people are run by the SSP, an umbrella military corporation. I am sure they would love to have some portable portals open up and have some help up in here to achieve their objectives, but none of that is actually happening. Nothing. But they are trying desperately to play what I call the alien card. I know. I feel like it's the 1930s, that War of the World thing that came out.
That's what I said. It's like modern day War of the Worlds.
Yep. Nothing is new. It's not like these people are so creative. And who knows if it didn't come from the crazy lady that's, no longer with us. I don't know. Where do they come up with this stuff? Well, they didn't, right? It already happened.
Right. And, they have been kind of flaunting this idea of Project Bluebeam.
Yep.
But that's not Project Bluebeam. That is like a MacGyvered version of Project Bluebeam, like really low budget. They can't even spell some of their words right, guys. Use spell check. Next time you want to come out with a fake EBS, use spell check, please.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, the point is that, these rumors are ridiculous. There's nothing that fell. There's no panic. There's nothing. No flights are canceled. I've been checking FlightAware and all that. None of that actually happened. And this looks like another War of the Worlds type hoax that is meant to create fear amongst a community that has a lot of followers.
Yeah.
They do.
Kim, do you think it was a test of some sort to see how people would respond in the community? Would it be shared? I know they use this as lab rats all the time to figure out how humanity would respond to something.
Well, it probably was to see how they would actually respond. Do you remember a few months back, the balloon incident?
Oh, of course, yeah. Multiple balloons.
And during the course of the balloon incident, I call it the balloon affair. I don't know.
Balloon gate?
Where we had attack balloons from China, allegedly floating around the U.S. And these attack balloons, there was a official Pentagon briefing actually on it, which they quickly made disappear. But I think we had played portions of it in our news at the time, and where the Pentagon was actually coming out and saying they think there's an alien invasion. They're alien balloons. We don't know, that kind of thing. And to test to see what the public would say. Well, clearly that test failed. Maybe they thought that people would be more amenable now to this crazy idea. And I think if there was a 1,400 foot tall giant disc hovering, as depicted in this picture here, that they show on their little warning in California, that you would know.
I think I would know. I think anyone on any kind of social media would know.
That's right. And, there would also be 90,000 TikTok videos by now.
Exactly.
You know, from different people. I mean, if you were going to run something like that, wouldn't you have people kind of concurring with your statement? And then coincidentally, you know, what's really weird is there's a movie out there called The Arrival, and it looks just like what's depicted in that movie. Wow.
They probably just took a screenshot. Again, very low
Probably.
budget. Very low budget.
Very low budget. Yeah. Well, not for long, though, according to them. They'll have trillions of dollars in the next 72 hours. So
Oh, yeah.
just got to
So,
wait.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just a
Gladly
teaser.
pay you Tuesday for a video today. See, they didn't even use like Fiverr or something, because even those people would have given them some
a better
kind of a
job.
spell checker. Yeah.
So, you know, I mentioned Project Bluebeam. Do they have any ability to actually carry out some sort of fake alien invasion, whether it's their own ships, whether it is holographic images like we saw with 9/11? Like, do they have any capability at this point to do something like that?
Well, blue beam implies blue, right? We're color wars. You remember we talked about this. So, and remember how we talked about the fact that all the colors, different colors, had a hologram that would surround Earth. So their ability to create some kind of fake war of the worlds in the air on our hologram in projection, in combination, because this is how blue beam was supposed to work. It was supposed to be projected onto the hologram, and then they would obviously use some kind of 9/11 type imploding technology on the ground to make it look like there was a beam coming from a giant alien spaceship that attacked insert tall, well-known building name here. We won't go into that because, you know, they had their specific buildings they were going after, and which they did shoot one of those ahead of time, known as 9/11. With holographic planes and other things that took place there. And not saying that the experience wasn't very real for the people on the ground and the thousands of people that died, but you know, the show did not include an alien invasion. They decided not to, and call it, you know, terrorists on planes, because that was more believable for people to go into a full-on panic. And then we escalated into obviously hunting terrorists in the Middle East. Which, you know, the intended effect was there, carried out, you know, decently, because it came from somebody else. You know, it wasn't something that they created. But so they were going to attack these well-known buildings, insert building name here, which were already wired to blow. We've found many of them, you know, Chicago trade towers, you know, all these, you know, they're gone now, that alien tech's not there. And then it would look to the public like, oh, here's the aliens shooting down, you know, killing our towers and our people. And, you know, and this was a preface for that. I'm pretty sure they probably thought they were getting that technology back as part of this extravaganza over the next few days. They're also talking on the same channels, you know, with the clock thing, because this will end up on YouTube. We don't need another strike because it's bullying at this point. They are saying that there's going to be a gate on 9/9, so that's 5 days away from now. Maybe this is to preface that in case that happens and they win some demons or something. I don't know. But I can tell you that the only thing that they are doing is losing more and more abilities by the day. That's what they're losing. And they will continue to lose more and more by the day. And when they don't stop making ridiculous deals with people you don't want to mess with, then they're going to lose a lot more than just a few just a few alien pieces of technology. They're going to lose a lot more. So but it's going to be, you know, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for us on my side of it, because, you know, we're, you know, like I said, I'm not really chasing them around anymore, but these are things that come up on the radar that need to be addressed. I mean, I can't not talk about these things and how weird they are. You know, like some of this is just weird. These are ongoing operations and things that they're doing to some degree. We need to dispel rumors of ridiculous amounts of liquidity coming into the system from people that have zero capacity to do so. They do not have a quantum AI sentient system like they think they do. That stuff is not coming back. The lady is dead. the other counterparts are dead. There's nobody left to talk about. There's nobody left to talk to. I can't stress to you enough the ridiculousness of all the stuff that they're putting out there. It's more entertaining really than a movie. Like there's no movie that is good as the one that's actually things happening in the world that we actually talk about. It's real. It's really happening. And, hopefully the movie's going to end where we all win and humanity is thriving. And, the sequel, it talks about all the new projects that you're going to be doing and what CARE's doing in the world. And, and that's the way the movie's going to end. That is the way the movie is going to end.
Yeah, there's no hoping. That is the ending of this movie.
That is the ending of this movie, or the beginning of the sequels and things that are to come. So, there's a little bit of damage control you've got to do every once in a while, and it's worth talking about. Meanwhile, I've spent the majority of my time working on ensuring that we can have supply lines of things that we need. We can do things that we need to do, securing things like, there's no point in trying to build a building, or a clinic somewhere if you don't have any either lumber or steel or something to build it with, right? We have to secure those lines. And a lot of those things have been taken over by the deep state, or they're being produced out of Asia with substandard materials, and we don't want substandard materials. And we also need to have independent labs test said materials because this is important to us. We don't want to build a building with steel that is not up to the spec it says, which happens all the time. And we need to look at something else. We need to look at another place where we can source that. With all the sanctions that are going on with Russia and in other countries, a lot of those sources are considered black market sources at this point. But you always, know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And then, of course, if you got transport companies willing to transport for you, as long as you got the money, then we can get it from here to there. So lots of things go through my mind, and, I've been pretty much focused on that kind of stuff. Also been focused on working on some interesting things with some others and some collaborative efforts about some technologies that are already out there and being produced. So I've been working on those types of things kind of quietly behind the scenes. We are also working on our little shop. That should be, hopefully we'll have some good news for you on Wednesday of this week. We shall see. We've been working on some new segments, for the news, always trying to change things up and keep it new and fresh. And, of course, news is all about news for you. So it's all about education on different things that are available, different technologies, a whole new science section maybe, so we're focused on doing positive movements forward while we're trying to make sure we don't have some ridiculous blue beam or alien ridiculousness going on with these people. There's also a few other things we're doing some investigating into because we got some disturbing information yesterday regarding the Middle East. Apparently there are people in Gaza, as you know, they are preventing food supplies coming in there. The people are surviving, not saying well, but they're surviving there. But they blew up pretty gosh darn much every single hospital and clinic in the area. There are doctors still available and that kind of thing doing, servicing without proper equipment and that kind of thing. But somebody managed to be diagnosed with polio.
In Gaza. I think I saw a headline about that. Yeah. They're trying to get vaccines over there or something.
Absolutely. Pronto. Already allegedly arrived. 1.2 million doses.
Yeah. Let's bomb you and then pretend that we want to help you with a vaccine that's probably going to kill you too. So
yeah, well, word on the street is there some vaccine companies that may have donated to continue that war over there or paid some of the deep state's bills when they couldn't pay. some of the black nobility owned Bayer and a bunch of other large pharmaceutical companies. So apparently they probably had to try to find a way to get some money out of those companies and, to support some activities that were going on there we would consider unsavory, on the promise that they could unload about 1.2 million doses of vaccine.
Well, and then from a media standpoint too, I'm sure there are headlines out there of like, oh, look, the Israelis or whatever name you want to put on it is helping the people of Gaza by, we're going to stop bombing for a little bit or whatever so we can get them these vaccines and then we'll kill them. You know what I mean?
They can't get any food in there. They can't get any water in there. They can't get anything else in there. But you can get 1.2 million vaccine doses in there now, can't you? Yes, you can. And for those of you that don't know, which I will let you know, the polio vaccines that they're producing these days, because we haven't heard about polio anywhere in a long, long time. But the last large distribution of polio vaccines happened in India a few years back, and which left about 500,000 people with some kind of a disability, a physical disability, some of them as far as not being able to walk, that are paralyzed now. So these are not something you want to do. So if you happen to be in the Gaza Strip and you happen to be watching this, I would highly suggest you run.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I cannot believe they would have the possibility at this moment, based on all of the things that have happened since last October, have the ability to run laboratory tests for a disease that has pretty much been eradicated from planet Earth. That's a very specific test. Why would they have that kind of test on what is left of their hospitals or clinics?
It makes no sense. But when they do stupid stuff like this,
you are flashing like crazy.
They really don't want us talking about this stuff. When they,
you know what? It reminds me of. You should do this little dance. You remember that movie Flashdance? Do you remember that?
I love
where she's got the water coming down on her and it's all flashing.
I'll do some
I don't remember the song, but you need to get some moves going on to go with your flash over there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, when they do stupid stuff like this, I can only hope that more and more people that are just fed up, that are really starting to take a look at these headlines and really trying to put two and two together, that, obviously don't watch our news,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the silver lining here, is that, yes, I know we've all been programmed, some more than others, but there's going to come a point and more people are going to be looking at this stuff going, this just doesn't make sense. So on one level, that's kind of the silver lining, is that how many people does this wake up? I don't know. But when they do stupid stuff like this, I mean, there are people out there questioning and things aren't adding up. I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of Midwesterners when I was traveling over the summer, are asking the right questions. They're just not necessarily, connecting all the dots yet. But the more silly that the deep state gets, that these people get, the more dots they're going to be to connect. And at some point, there's going to be a breaking point.
Yep.
So, that's a silver lining here, guys. It's ridiculous.
Well, and it's kind of like all the stuff that they're putting out. It's just really, no one's going to figure that one out, because, the people in Gaza wouldn't recognize the fact they can't get, some bread, but they can get,
a vaccine.
Yeah, and they're going to need that. And who's paying for that, by the way? Who's shelling out the money for? That's $800 or so, $900 per 1.2. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
They issue a bond or something, to get those in there, on the promise of one of these big multi-trillion-dollar quadrillion payouts or whatever was going to work out in 3 days. Is that what it's all about? Have they actually been delivered yet? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But, hopefully, because we have not confirmed a delivery at this moment, hopefully it doesn't happen, because those things caused a tremendous amount of danger towards the people of India. And a matter of fact, after selling them, Bill Gates was actually not allowed in the country of India for a long time. I don't know if he is now. I mean, they're deep state to deep state over there, Modi and Gatesy, but yeah. So
I thought there was one vaccine, and I'm not sure if this is true. Maybe you know the details of this, that actually got the real Bill Gates and Melinda Gates killed. That I can't remember what country it was allegedly.
In Aruba.
So that really did happen. The originals, the original people were killed because they were killing the people, and the people took control over it. They offed them because of it.
Well, I know a set for sure of them. It was about 4 or 5 years ago, no, it was actually less than that because it was on the news. So maybe within the last couple of years, died in Aruba.
A set of Bill and Melinda Gates?
Yeah, a set of them, yeah.
So
they're like salt and pepper shakers, There's a set. But yeah, they did.
Yeah.
In Aruba, I know that. Bill specifically, by some operatives that were unhappy with some things that he was doing. I'm pretty sure. As far as other sets, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I don't know how many we have left either. He's into all those Nazi eugenics programs, so God knows how many of them there are in the world.
Oh, so you think they're clones, that they're not doppelgangers?
Well, I don't know about Melinda, but I know about Bill for sure. He's into all those eugenics programs.
Yeah.
Everything he puts out. How did he, the guy from the computer company, land on the board of the International Vaccine Committee or whatever it's called? Yeah. I know. Yeah. That seems like his area of expertise, doesn't it? No, it does not. Well,
not at all.
Deep state is deep state, I guess. He was actually during the beginning of this lockdown situation we had a few years ago. He was actually given a UN jet to fly around all the countries and all the leaders and every head of state and negotiate deals on COVID vaccines distribution.
Well, he can't afford his own jet. This
Kickbacks.
guy has a ton of money, doesn't he?
It's one thing to fly on your own. It's another thing to fly with a UN tail.
I see. Okay.
UN is very good at giving out what I call tramp stamps, meaning if you're flying in one of their jets, you can go in and out of anywhere, and you're considered diplomatic. And it's diplomatic in the sky, diplomatic on the land. So you can go anywhere you want to go without passports, without anything. Like you don't need to go through customs. Of course, you wouldn't want someone like that going through customs and actually showing that he went into a country, would you? No.
Right.
No, you would not. Especially not for what he was there for. He was offering kickbacks to everybody, which never came either. So just another scam of varying members. Probably he was a cannon food at the time. But yeah, definitely probably profited from those old bonds that were issued years before, God knows what Marduk did or orders put out in 1984. I mean, this was planned for a long time. Right. So, hopefully none of them will be flying anywhere and we won't see multiples of them anymore. And, and very soon, let's hope that those clones start to break down in the new environment. Yeah. But meanwhile, we've got a lot of work to do on our end. So,
you mentioned technologies. Can we have an update on where the neutrino boxes stand? People have been asking about it on our app, and
there's a few being tested in a specific country. I'm not going to say where because they're not in mass production yet. And I have personally not had time to go into an area that's nearby me that I could actually go to and collect materials here, or have I come up with the $250,000 I needed to build my own lab? So, yes, I still have some people that are willing to participate, but I just don't have time to do it all on my own, and I haven't gotten my friend here yet, so that knows how to do them as well. So we'll see. Okay. But I do know they are being tested on a small scale in some remote areas of a country that is not in North America. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So hopefully soon, hopefully before it snows in this particular area, that would be great.
Yeah.
I just need to get moving, that's for sure. But right now. There's so much going on. You know, there's only one Kim, and you know, we got got the oils loaded up on the one shop. I've got work to do on the other marketplace thing. Even though we have a team that's building it, I still have stuff that only, you know, we can do here. You know, seller terms and conditions, vendor terms and conditions, things you can't sell. Sorry, no firearms and alcohol and things like that. You know, we don't want to get involved in any of that. Checking people's licenses and that kind of stuff. We don't have that kind of capacity at this moment. And not that I'm against anybody who does any of those things. It's just difficult to do online. At this moment. Some states you can ship to, some states you can't. It's like CBD. Some states you can ship to, some states you can't. You know, can't ship to Indiana, can't ship to Kentucky, can't, you know, I was going through that when I was looking at the oils. So I had to find a different one which does the exact same thing with the exact same terpene as CBD. It's called Copaiba. And Copaiba, you can ship anywhere. So it's a resin that comes from a tree in Brazil that we ended up importing. So yeah. Waiting for that to arrive still, but we had to figure out a way around everything, and there are ways to do everything, you know, and once you do the research and you really start looking into it, you know, it's something that, you know, does it adheres to the same CBD2 receptors in the brain, you know, I've gone through the whole thing. So, yeah. So these are all the things that Kim does with her day that we don't report on the news.
Okay.
But we're making it happen bit by bit, piece by piece. We've got some good people, you know, hopefully we'll be able to bring on board once the marketplace is up and running. We've got a lot of people in mind. You know, I'd like to reach out at some point to the people from the Tesla conference that happened that we didn't know anything about. Otherwise, we would have sent somebody there and see what else they have. You know, and how we can help their people to market their products and go from there. So we are definitely trying to make this marketplace as robust as we can. You know, it'll probably take a little time, just like it did with all the other ones, to build up, but we will get there. And of course, with all of you. So, yep, lots of work though. Doesn't come easy.
Okay. Well, thank you.
That's pretty much it for a Monday. I think that's a lot.
And that is a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot today.
Have to listen to that one again.
Hopefully we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
Of course.
Okay. See you then.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share with us so together we can change the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.